Hey, this is our last shiur for Maseches Shabbos. Yeah, about to finish. But even if you're not with us for any of the previous shiurim, this shiur is a unit as of itself. This shiur you can understand without being here yesterday, even if you're not here or you didn't see us on Torah anytime. Basically, this year, as always, is Le'ilu Nishmas, my father, Kiva ben Menachem ben Akiva, I meant. Akiva ben Menachem is me, I'm still alive, Baruch Hashem. Yeah, bis 120. My father is Menachem ben Akiva. And for his Neshama, for the refuah, there's a boy here. You see a sign that Kiva Shushan ben Natalie Pnina may be well and healthy. And welcome back to our good friend Jason, who's back from the States. Basically, what is the shir about? Two topics we're going to discover and explore today. One of them is Haforas and Hatoras Nedorim, annulling vows on Shabbat. Shabbos, are you allowed to be made for Nedorim of your wife on Shabbos, yes or no? That is actually very nice that we came across this topic punct today, because this is this week's Parsha's issue. The first topic discussed in the Parsha is Haforas Nedorim. The father to his daughter, husband to his wife, have the right to annul and be made fair, to break the neder of the female member of the family. And we also have the other term of hatoras nedorim, when a man or a woman go to a chacham, go to a talmud chacham, to a rav, or to three regular people, and they do hatoras nedorim, meaning that the chacham finds a way to undo the neder, not to break it, but say, had you known otherwise, would have you been neder? Then, and the answer is no. Then you can get out of that. Basically, the question is, aren't you allowed to do it on Shabbos? We started the topic yesterday. We'll continue today. The second topic of today will be a very interesting case. A case, I sent you a diagram for that case. A very specific case of Tumah V'Tara that teach us three different things regarding Shabbos. There was a case that happened in times of the Mishnah. It's like a case study. In such a case, what happens regarding Shabbos? So now, okay, Omar Avashi, we're kind of in the middle of the topics. I'll give you a little rundown of what we've seen so far. Basically, there's a question like that. When a husband is allowed to be made for the neder of his wife, is that, to begin with, as a starting point, Hataras Nedorim or Haforas Nedorim, we're not so crazy over doing this in Shabbos, because you're basically creating a new halachic status, and it's similar to din. It's similar, as the Gemara says that actually in Nedorim, I looked in the studio over there, you can't just do a Haforas Nedorim, Hataras Nedorim. It looks like you're doing judgment din, and you're not supposed to be done on Shabbos to psak din, unless it's to do with Shabbos itself. However, we did say in the Mishnah that the husband is allowed to do Haforas Nedorim, to break the neder. And the question is he allowed to do that only if it's for the need of Shabbos? Meaning, let's say the woman made a neder, I'm not eating cholent my entire life. What do you mean you're not eating cholent? What kind of nonsense is that? What kind of Shabbos table is that without the mom eating the cholent, right? That is a neder to do with Shabbos. So maybe we kind of say, listen, we're not crazy over Haforas Nedorim, but since this is a Shabbos need, a Shabbos need, we allowed it. Or maybe no. Or maybe Haforas Nedorim is, even if she was noid, there's something that's completely chol oriented. Let's say she's noider not to enter a car in her life. And Japanese cars. All the cars here are Japanese, So then what? Is he allowed to be made for the neder on Shabbos? Maybe not. Maybe do it another time. Oh, what do you mean another time? That led us to another big question. There's a big question, which is a very, very, very fundamental question in the pshat of the parsha. Time. How far or how much time does the husband have, to be made for the neder from the moment he hears about the neder? Which means, a woman was noider not to eat anything green. That's very unhealthy, never to eat anything green, She made the neder on Thursday, and he heard about the neder on Shabbos. It says in the Torah, in two different places in this week's Parsha, Matois, that it can only be made for the neder, time sensitive, time limited, on that day. What do you mean on that day? As we know in halacha, there are two interpretations to the word that day. Either you mean to say from that day, from that moment until Shkia, until the end of the day, that is Oysa Yom, yeah, that is this day, Kol Hayoim, regardless of which point you are in the day, evening, morning, afternoon, the nightfall will be the deadline, because we all know the Jewish day ends by night and then starts the other one. Or do we say, it says miyoim layoim in a different pasuk, which means 24 hours, which means if the husband heard, what's this nonsense? Did I hear right? Shmuley told me that you said you're noider, you're not going to eat anything green ever. What kind of diet are you eating? What's going on over here? And therefore, what? He wants to be made for the neder right now. Right now, he has to go to shul. Until when does he have the right, the window of time to be made for the neder? From 3 o'clock in the afternoon till nighttime, which is, I don't know, 7:30, let's say, in the evening, or from 3 o'clock in the afternoon till the following 3 o'clock. That's called me'esles, 24 hours. Yeah? Now, this has to do with us. Why? Because the Gemara said before, if a voas nedorim can take place only till the evening and happens to be Shabbos, once Shabbos will be out, three twinkling stars, or even a bit before that, Shkia, if that's the last minute he can do a voas nedorim, means after Shabbos he can't do a voas nedorim. It's an SOS. It's a pikuach, not pikuach nefesh. I mean, it's an emergency because after Shabbos he won't be able to be mefer. So therefore, even if a neder is to do with not driving a Mazda or not putting makeup or not doing things that are chol, not using a pen and paper ever, all kinds of crazy stuff to do the weekday, he should be able to be made for the neder. Why? Because he only has until the night. That's it. And today is Shabbos. So the only time he can be made for is Shabbos. Then would allow him to be made for any kind of neder. The other side says no. The other side says no. Why? If we say that, let's say he heard about the neder 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Shabbos, yeah, he has till 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. So what's the rush? If it's to do with eating cholent or doing Shabbos dika things, strolling in the park, then what? Then be made for, it's Shabbos dik. It's for Shabbos. But if it's about driving the Mazda, why are you dealing with this now? You can do it on Sunday. Yeah, from 3 o'clock now till the following 3 o'clock. These were the two tzdodim. These were the two, that was the question. And now the Gemara was noite, the Gemara was inclined to say, a voas nedorim me'es le'es, right? That a voas nedorim is what? Is 24 hours, right? And since it's 24 hours, excuse me, no, kol hayoim. I'm sorry, apologize. We said before that, the last stage we were before, the end of yesterday's shiur was that the Amoraim sounded like a voas nedorim me'es le'es. A voas nedorim is 24 hours, right? And therefore, what's the big rush? What's the big deal? Hey, calm down, mister. Yeah, you can do a voas nedorim on Sunday. You don't even have to go to work in many places. And then what? Do it then. And therefore, if the neder is not Shabbos related, if the neder is about not using washing machines and drying machines, do it on Sunday. That's what we came to kind of conclusion. Now, frag the Gemara, Omar Vashi, is that so simple to you? V'anantnan. We learned in the Mishnah in Nedorim, around Daf Ein Zayin over there, a voas nedorim kol hayoim. The Mishnah said the voas nedorim kol hayoim means what? Till nightfall. Yeah, till nightfall, until night comes. Meaning, whichever point of the day, the deadline, the daunting deadline is always the same. Boom, nighttime. That situation of having the same deadline of the end of the day sometimes is a kula, sometimes is a chumrah. Explains Rashi. Sometimes you have a little bit of time, sometimes you have a lot of time. Yeah, the Ran in Nedorim, I saw the Sugi in Nedorim, says something very nice. If it's a set time of 24 hours, it's always the same amount of time. Be it 3 o'clock at night, be it 12 lunch. It's always 24 hours to move along with you. But if you're telling me that it's from point X till nightfall, sometimes it could be 5 minutes, sometimes it can be almost 12 hours. As the Gemara is going to say now, Keitzad, quoting the Mishnah, Nodo Leili Shabbos. Let's say the girl, the mommy, the mother, whichever female in the family was Noider Leil Shabbos, Shabbos night, what you call in English Friday night, mistakenly, I'm sorry. It's a goyish thing, yeah? It's Leil Shabbos, right? It's the eve of Shabbos. at 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, then you have a long time. Mefer, Leili Shabbos, then he has a lot of time to be Mefer to break the neder until Motzei Shabbos. It's a long Shabbos. He can be Mefer, Leili Shabbos, the Yom Shabbos, Shabbos night, Shabbos day, Achetechshach. He has all the time in the world until Motzei Shabbos. That could be even 24 hours or close to 24. Nodo im chashecha. Let's say Mrs. Smart Girl was noider 5 minutes before dark, meaning before Motzei Shabbos. 5 minutes before Motzei Shabbos. Ooh, rush, 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 rush. Mefer achelot echshach. He better be very quick because she did it 5 minutes before the deadline. The deadline doesn't move. The deadline is the end of the day. Motzei Shabbos, right? If he won't be made for once dark, past dark time, deadline. And he can't be made for. So we see Bekitzer, we see a Mishnah that's against what we saw yesterday, against Rav Zuti the Be'er Papi. Yeah? The Mishnah doesn't say 24 hours. I don't care wherever you are in Shabbos. I always have smug time till Sunday. No, this Mishnah told me I can only have till Motzei Shabbos. It could be a long time or short time. Depends how close to the deadline she did the neder. Okay? So how can an Amoiro argue with the Mishnah? Answers the Gemara, no, Tanai. What the Mishnah said, as happens many times in Mishnah, that Mishnah itself is a dispute between two Tanoim. And now, what I told you before, now will be very, very easy. You're going to see it in the Gemara now, black and white. The Tanya says in the Brisa, Afos Nedorim Kol Hayoim. Says Tanakam, Afos Nedorim is all day long. All day long is actually the shorter time, meaning till nightfall, till the end of the day, okay? And therefore, if she was noider today, even if she was noider to do about airplanes, cars, makeup, writing, computers, phones, she went to a very stark anti-internet. Noider, never to use technology. He is allowed to be made for today. Why? Because that's the deadline, Motzei Shabbos. He has no other time. Yeah, end of the day is Motzei Shabbos, and that's it. After that, he can't be Mefer. Right? One second. Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar Bar B'Shimon amu meis leis. Rabbi Yosef Bar Yehuda, Rabbi Elazar Bar B'Shimon, they say meis leis. What does it mean meis leis? No, which means whichever time, pick any time of the day, 12:47 a.m., 13.2 millisecond a.m., doesn't matter. Whichever time you are, he, Mr. Daddy, always has 24 hours to be made for. So what's the lachatz? Yeah? He can always be made for tomorrow. So therefore, if the neder is Shabbos oriented, he wants her to eat the cholent now. So of course he can be made for now. But if her neder is, I'll never use a phone in my life. She's been to a very inspirational talk against technology. Never use a phone in my life. You crazy? So then be made for tomorrow. Why be made for tomorrow? Because you have time tomorrow. Because it's 24 hours. When did she do the neder? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You have time till 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Sunday. What's halacha? Thank you for your patience. I see you have a question. Halacha is the Ran in the Dorim and the Shulchan Aruch today also inside the open the real Shulchan Aruch, not Oitzer Chochma. Halacha lemaisa is, I was quite surprised, I'm ashamed to say, the halacha is till the end of the day, not 24 hours. Rashi and the Chumash stand a shtickle different, but the halacha lemaisa Shulchan Aruch is only the shorter time. Meaning you have one set deadline, regardless of when she did it. Yeah, meaning from whichever time she did it till the end of that day. Could be 12 hours, 24 hours almost, or could be 5 minutes. The end of the day is the deadline. And therefore, the husband is allowed to be made for her Nadarim, even if they're not Shabbos related, because it's time pressing, it's time sensitive, it's urgent, right? Okay, that's I have a lot more to add. I want to hear you first.
So let's assume that she makes this neder on any day of the week. Take Erev Shabbos. But he doesn't learn about it till Sunday. So so it's not from when he learns about it, or is it? Or
no, it is when he learns about it.
It's not from when she actually makes
it. No, it's from when he learns about it. Yeah, when he learns about it. In our case, he learned about it on Shabbos. That's the case of a Mishnah. Okay. He only heard. No, listen. Either she did it on Shabbos and he heard it right away, right. Or she did it on Tuesday. He only heard about it now on Shabbos.
Got it.
But the starting point, where the clock starts ticking, from his das, from he knows about it. Yeah, okay. Very good. Thanks. So that's the first thing we want to say. Another important nekuda. So we do allow first the door. So let's summarize now. So first of all, when you go to the Chacham, we said clearly in the Mishnah, and that's not a question, A Talmid Chacham that she goes to, a posek, or three people, not the husband, regular hatoras nedorim, and that applies to a man too. A man should also go to a Rav to be meitir the neder. Yeah, that you can only go to the Rav if it's Shabbos related, because the Rav is not limited by time. That's only husband and wife. Go to the Rav on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. You have a lot of time to go next week, right? If it's Shabbos related, then you go to the Rav now. Because you want to eat the chocolate now. You want to eat your ice cream now. You'd have a Shabbos for me without blinches. No Shabbos, yep. So now what? Now what's next? Another important point, which I want to add from the Gemara in the Dorm, is when the husband is made for the neder, you can't say mufarlach. That sounds a little bit too din. You're more not Shabbos dik, and therefore, yeah, I have tissues if you want.
Okay.
And therefore, he should just think in his mind that he wants to be made for, and to her he says, Tli ve'ichli, tli v'shti. Go take the drink. You're neither from, I don't know, fruit juice. The addition told you it's not good. Take the fruit juice. In his mind, he says, I am Mefer. But don't say the words I Mefer. Why? Says the Ran, Kol echad efshar lishnui meshaninam. When you have borderline things which you allow in halacha, l'tzorach Shabbos, but they're not so Shabbos dik, you do it b'shinui. Meaning think I Mefer and say, Rebbetzin, darling, dear, honey, however you call your wife, take the drink, okay? And she should, okay? Now we're going to see more about Chachamim. V'nisholim nenedorim. Iboilu. Now we're talking about the guy or the woman who go to a Chacham to do the ha-Toras nedorim. And when can they do a Toras nedorim? On Shabbos, only if it's Shabbos related. If it's not Shabbos related, wait for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The Chacham is not running anywhere. Chacham has no time limitation to when he can do the HaTorah. It's only a husband and wife business, the time issue. Iboilu. Before we continue, I said something yesterday to Akiva, the other Akiva that was here. I told him, what happens if the husband did not hear about it? Let's say the husband heard about it and wasn't Mefer. Yeah? Let's say the husband heard, it wasn't Mefer, so she's Mekayim. The neder is now her neder for life. Can she go to the Talmud Chacham and be Mefer? And be Matir? Yeah? In other words, the husband is agreeing to her neder, so now she's stuck with the neder. Can she independently go to the Chacham or the three people? I told him it's a machlokes rishonim, and it is machlokes rishonim. It is. I stand by that. It's a big machlokes in the Dorim. Not that I know it, but I know about it. But the Maaseh, the Shulchan Aruch brings down that she can. She can. And the Ramah has debates back and forth. Yes, no. The Ramah in the Maskona also says me'ikar adin, she can go and independently. I don't know behind his back or not behind his back. That's another shiloh of Even Oezer. But Lamaisa, she can go and be matir. Go to the Chacham, the one with the big beard and big black kippah. She can go to the rabbi and be, or to three regular people, and do the ha-Toras nedorim, even if the husband did approve of her neder. Yeah, okay. Stam general knowledge. And of course, you shouldn't. Nedorim is a very bad thing, and people should not do nedorim b'chlal. It says, you know what it says? If a cotton is noider, so in the border, the edge of 11, you start checking if the girl knows what she's talking about, or the cotton when he's 12. It's a questionable neder. And it says you have to hit them and warn them not to do nedorim when they grow up. If they're just pre-bar mitzvah, I'm not saying hitting today, with all the chinuch and psychology, but Shulchan Aruch says to hit and warn them, you don't do nedorim. Nedorim is a very dangerous business. So educate your children from a young age not to be neder. Okay? Also steht in Shulchan Aruch. Ibailu. Question time. Yeah? Shelo elopnai. Why are you bothering the Talmid Chacham, the Rav, with your neder, even if it's Shabbos related? Yeah, and you go to the Rav and you say, "Oh, had I know it's so hard to live without gala kishke liver, I wouldn't be neder." Yeah, do we say that? Let's say the neder was on Wednesday, Thursday, when you're inspired by the dietitian before Shabbos. Yeah, let's say you had no time. Are you going to the Chacham now and we allow you to do Hatoras Nedorim with the Chacham because you had no time before Shabbos, and that's enough of an excuse? Let's say you had no time. Let's say because you did the Neder Friday afternoon, right? And that's why, because it's pressing, that's the only time I have. I didn't have time to go to the Chacham before. Or maybe you can go to the Chacham because it's okay to be matir nedorim for Shabbos, even if you could have gone on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You had a day off, you had vacation. You could have gone to the Chacham before. You choose to go on Shabbos. Is that also okay? You do that Torah nedorim even if he had a chance to. He could have done it before Shabbos. That's a question. Toshma, let's see the Maise. There's the Kikol Rabbanon of Zutra Bred Rav Zera. Rabbanon as a Beis Din, they were nizkak, they were serving, they were helping the Amoiro called Rav Zutra Bred Rav Zera. He had the neder. Himself, Rav Zutra, the son of Rav Zera, he had a neder. V'sharule nidrei, they allowed him the neder. They were matir. They permitted his neder on Shabbos. Even though we all knew that he could have done it on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, he had enough time to go, and it didn't go, it's still okay. Why? Because apparently, the Gemara says something interesting in the Nedorim, that neder, that a Torah's Nedorim, is not really such a din, meaning, the Gemara says like that. When you have one Talmid Chacham, one Chacham, doesn't look like din, because it's only one person. How many people are normally in the Beis Din? Minimum of? Exactly. Three. Now, that doesn't even look like din when one Chacham is telling you mutar, mutar, mutar. Yeah, it's not. What about three people? Maybe three people is mechzi like din, because it's three people. Says the Gemara, no. First of all, three people, the Atoros Nedorim, can be done by relatives. That's not like Beis Din. It can be judged by relatives. And can be done by night. And it can be done sitting down. Yeah, the guy sits down. Yeah, he doesn't have to stand up. On Erev Yom Kippur, we all stand up. Erev Rosh Hashanah, yeah? But Lamaisa Mikra Din, you can do it by night, as opposed to Din, Nedorim, Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. You can do it with a relative. Definitely can't do real Din by a relative. It can be judged by a relative. And by night, and by standing up, sitting down, because it doesn't even look like Din, the Din is very faint. The similarity to Din is very faint, very minor, and therefore you're allowed to do it either by one Talmid Chacham or by three people, and it's not a problem. It's okay to the Tos Nedorim. However, if the neder is not Shabbos related, if the neder is to do with after the week, then don't do it on Shabbos. There is some kind of remnant of a whole kind of behavior, yeah, and therefore, if you can do it, if it's not Shabbos related, you're going to the Rav and saying, I was neder not to drive a car. Shabbos Kodesh, I want you, Rabbi, to be matter me, yeah, to drive a car. Come inside, we're going to talk about cars. Yeah, not now, right? Good. Weiter. Oh, now we're going to see the story. I don't know if you got my email with a picture, but this picture is very, very, very important for the shiur. Almost impossible without it. You can come here, maybe. Okay. Yeah. Basically, the Mishnah said some very, very interesting and seemingly unrelated halachos to do with tying, measuring, stuffing the window. All sounds like all kinds of things that are flying in the air. I won't even repeat the Mishnah because it's not going to help anybody now. We're going to learn the story in the Gemara, how the story took place, okay? And then we're going to go to see through the Gemara, yeah, the three halachas that we derive from that story. And those halachas are the same halachas that are mentioned in the Mishnah. Okay? I promise you everything will be Be'ezus Hashem, as I like to call a shiur, straight and simple. Okay. Amar v'yodam Rav. The issue is Tumah V'Tara. And there are many different explanations here in the Rishonim. I am actually following here, believe it or not, you know who? The Bartanura. The Bartanura, I follow what he says, and also that fits into the picture that we have here, so it works very well. Imagine yourself, and it's here on the, if you want, yeah, there were two, yeah, yeah, you're famous now. Yeah, there are two houses, right? Okay, one here, one here. And here, there's a dead guy. In one house, there's a dead guy, and across the hall, across the narrow street, the alley, what is there? There is a gigis. There's a big bowl, looks like a bathtub, with a crack in the middle. Now, if the bowl would be intact, or even if the crack is small, right? even if the crack is small, yeah, nisyonis, mamish. Okay, even if the crack is small, then the tuma from the dead guy goes all over the street and into the across the street house, which has a hole in it. And everything here will become Tomeh, Tumas Ohel, right? This oil is all Tomeh, the guy is dead, or to infect what the Mishnah Berurah says here, the guy is about to die. So Mishnah Berurah, he's about to die, and they're preparing for his death, and his next door neighbor, across the street neighbor, says, hey, I want to stuff my house with a kli cheres. Kli cheres from its back is not mekabel tuma. So I stuff the window with the back of a kli cheres. That's a stopgap from the tuma. Very nice. So you're allowed to do that to stuff your window. That's a window over here with a kli cheres. Since it does not receive tuma, it also protects from tuma from coming. So even if the tuma from the dead guy goes through the window all over the street and to the other side, it stops right here. That's a protection. That's an iron dome. Okay, fine. That's the story. You have it, Akiva? Yeah. Very good. Now, says the Gemara, the Tuma Sham, there was a Tuma over there. Tuma over there means it was potential Tuma, according to the way we learn it. A guy was about to die, and we're preparing for that. The gigis sduka munachas al gabon. As we said, there was a gigit, there was a bowl, which was cracked, yeah, standing over, roofing over both houses, and potentially, if it's intact, or if the hole, the crack is less than a tefach big, yeah, it's a small crack, then it goes over. So what did they do? Upokeku es samaor betafiach. They were pokek. They stuffed, they closed maor, they closed the window with a tafiach, with that earthenware kli, with the kli cheres, which does not receive the tuma. So even if the imagine yourself tuma like waves coming in, they're being stopped by the kli cheres. Yeah, let's say my bottle is the kli cheres. The tuma knocks on the door. The kli cheres doesn't let it go into the other house. All very nice. However, once the guy, now there was choishesh that, at some point, they were concerned. Maybe they needed they took out the what's its name? What happens if they take out the kli cheres? Now it's vulnerable. Now there's another way to make sure, or at least to find out if the tuma does go through or doesn't go through.
If it's, let's say, had a glass, window on it, would that have made a difference at all?
Yeah, glass would stop. I think so.
Okay, so we're talking like a whole.
I'm not sure though, because glass is makabel tuma d'rabbanan. I don't know. You're entering a good question.
Okay.
I'm actually not sure. Not sure. So now, what's the second solution? Let's now ignore that kli that stuffs the tuma. Remember what I keep telling you all the time? The tuma only cross over and gallops over to the other side if the roof, if that funny kind of whatever that is, the tub,
conical type roof,
like that, right? It has a crack in the middle. Wait, if the crack is big enough, if it's tefach, the shiur that applies a lot in olos, in Tumah V'tar is tefach. If you have a tefach in that ceiling of the street, it's basically the partial ceiling of the street. If there's tefach wide crack, then everything is fine. Because the Tumah finds a place to run away, it goes all the way to Shemaim, and it does not bother the house next door. Yeah, that's where it goes. Yeah. Oh, so what did they do? That's the second part of the story. The koshos and mekida begemi. They took a mekida. Mekida is another kind of kli, a smaller kli. They knew that the mekida was a tefach wide. Very good. What do you do if you want to measure something and you don't have a ruler, right? Let's say you take an item. Let's say somebody tells me that this is 30 centimeters. Let's say. So I don't know if this is 30 centimeters. I'm going to put this against the other. There'll be a good measuring rod, right? That's what they did. The koshu, they took the mekida and they tied it. That's very important with the gemi. Why gemi? Gemi is a karid that's eaten by animals. So that's why they knew they're doing a kesher she'enu shel kayama. You're not allowed to tie a knot on Shabbos. I know you know that. Now, let's say you tie a temporary knot that's not allowed with the rabbonon. If I tie it with something that my cow needs to eat, I know that I'm not going to keep it there forever. Yeah, it's a temporary knot. Now, usually, to tie temporary knot is not allowed because it's also midrabanon. But if I know that I'm doing it for a mitzvah, then it's allowed. Aha. So now, the kosherus and Makida begemi, what did they do? They took the Makida. Let's look again at the picture. Yeah. The kosherus and Makida. Yeah, oh, Baruch Hashem, it's working. You see, that's a Makida over here. Okay. Oh, finally, Baruch Hashem. They took the Makida, the Kli. They know that it's tefach big, and they tied it in order to have it going all the way up here. They tied it and they placed it against the crack to see is it tefach or not tefach. It's a good measuring rod. They're doing two things that are problematic over here. A, they're doing kshira. Secondly, measuring. Measuring is also on Shabbos. Measuring, you may come to right. It's like a whole thing, yeah? And therefore, also the rabbanon to measure. Measuring, you may come to right. That's what people do. You measure and you write. Oh, very good. Here it's allowed. What do we learn from that? I'm ignoring pokikin on purpose because I have something to say here. But first of all, what's the story? Moididin, you are allowed to measure on Shabbos. What? For Dvar Mitzvah. Because the idea was to keep Tahara, and it's a mitzvah to stay Tahar as much as you can, right? That's why the measuring was okay. Yes, also the kshira. You're not allowed to be kosher midurabanon, kshira, even she'enu shel kayoma. However, for mitzvah, it's allowed. What about poikikin? Poikikin is very misleading because poikikin is allowed not only for dvar mitzvah. What's poikikin? It was machlokes in daf kuf chaf hey and kuf chaf vov. Are you allowed to take imagine yourself in a very old house? They had no windows, they had no glass windows, right? If you want to close your window so you don't see so your yachne neighbor doesn't look through your house, yeah? So what happens then? What do? You just take a piece of wood, a plank of wood, yeah, ready-made from before Shabbos, take it from the floor and stuff the window hole with it, yeah? Is that allowed? Maybe it's like bone. That's opinion of Rebbe Lazar. But Chachamim say, no, it's allowed. It's not called boina. It's meant to be taken on and off. And that's what we say over here. My question is, and that's actually a debate in the Meforshim, so that's not only Dvar Mitzvah, right? Look up Shulchan Aruch. I saw it today. Shulchan Aruch says it's allowed anyways. So why did it make it to our list of Dvar Mitzvah business? Says the Mishnah Berurah something fascinating. The Mishnah Berurah says that Enochinami, before the guy is dead, and the tomb is not there yet, you're only preparing, then you're allowed to stuff the window with that thing, with the clean, with whatever. Why? You're allowed to. Once a guy is dead, then says, he brings down B'Shem Samach Chroinim who say that that's not allowed because then it's a real binyan. Why? Because when you want I don't binyan d'Rabbanon, d'Oraisa, but when you want the tumah not to come in, that's called real tikkun, right? Very good. You took the words out of my mouth. Oh, you see, good neighbors we are. Yeah, you're not allowed to create mechitza letza for tash mishamita between you and the light. You're not allowed to. Why? Because it's a halachic mechitza. It's not stam mechitza. Very good, or things like that. Very nice. And therefore, in that case, according to Samachronim, at least it's also, and that's a chiddush over here. And the rest I'm leaving for tomorrow, but we're not going to have Torah anytime. I'll just read a little bit more, except for the last words. Ula. Ikla leberish galusa. Ula came to the house of Reish Galusa. Chazel Rabba Rav Huna. He saw Rabba Rav Huna Diosid be'avna demaya. He saw him sitting in a bathtub, like in a bathtub. Bekamashachle, and he measured the bathtub. Omerle, Emadav Rabbanim, he did the mitzvah. I know Rabbanim allow you to do medida of mitzvah. The lav mitzvah mi omu. Did they allow you to do medida with you? Why are you measuring the bathtub? There's no mitzvah. It's not a mikveh. Why are you measuring it? Omerle misasek be'alma. I'm not saying the last words, so we can do the siyum tomorrow. He said, I'm not even explaining it so well yet. Yeah, you have to come to the siyum tomorrow. Yeah. He says, I'm not really doing medida. I'm not measuring for any important purpose. I'm just playing with medida for I'm keeping myself busy leyasuki be'alma. And since my medida does not really carry any importance, that's why it's allowed in Shabbos, which needs understanding. See you tomorrow. So we finished Maseches short one word. Short one word. And the Mirza Hashem tomorrow 6:30 in my house. Yeah, you're bringing the drinks, Rabbeinu. Go ahead, thank you. About 10 to 15 people, I think. 15. people, not 15 bottles, 15 people. You okay with that? Or? Yeah, shkoyach. Beseder. You don't have to bring anything. You came from America. Thank you. I'm aware that everyone on Torah Anytime is watching us. We're very excited about the Siyum. If you happen to be in Eretz Yisrael, come to Mahas, Lachish 40/6. Thank you, Atzlocha Uvrocha, and may we be Zoichet Messiah, many, many, many more Masechtes.